All right, greetings. Welcome everyone to the January 2020 board meeting for the continuing committee. I am Maggie Geppert, the current chair and executive officer. So we are starting out today. Let's go ahead and dive into the meeting. I'll introduce who we have. I'm seeing Charlie Plain.
Hello.
Director of First Edition. Chris Sonstaby, our Director of Organized Play.
Morning, everyone.
Brian Schaeflein, Director of Operations.
Hello, and I'm in a car, so I may be in and out.
Okay, good to know. And then we've got waiting on Justin Ford, our CFO, and Daniel Madison, our Director of Communications, has said he will likely has a conflict this morning. So go ahead and get started with our department reports. So, excuse me, approval of minutes first. So did anybody notice anything in the meeting minutes that seemed off or weird?
I'll be honest, I've been busy.
Yeah, sometimes that happens. Yeah, I didn't see anything that was that seemed out of it.
I'd move to approve minute.
All right, so Chris moves to approve the minutes. Can we get a second?
I will, Brian seconded, that's even better. So.
All right, Brian second. So I just realized I probably should be taking notes since usually Justin is our recording secretary. So, so all in favor of approving the meeting minutes?
Aye.
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 All righty, so getting into the reports then. Charlie, why don't you start with First Edition?
Sure thing. We put out Q-Who, surprise. G&G Borg are now a thing. And it had a really positive reception to the concept and to the spoilers. There were some people who were very upset that it's dummy Borg. But those people are generally not the target audience for this expansion. And the people who are the target audience seem to be really excited. The textbook example I give is that Johnny Haliva has been, an anti-Borg player as long as I have known him, which is coming on 10 years. And he reached out and he's like, I'm really excited to give these a try. So I call that mission accomplished. That was the point. We'll see what kind of impact they have on the environment now that they're legal. They were legal Friday. So, but yeah, enjoy TNG Borg, and coming soon, right on its heels, will be the Neutral Zone. It's mostly done. There's one or two last minute issues that are being, not last minute, but one or two cards that are getting massaged into the right spot. But I think that will be heading off to production here pretty soon for a release in the next 6 weeks or so. Beyond that, we've got a lot of irons in the fire. Project Viking is moving along nicely. That's the Vidian booster shot. It's going to be developed in an entirely new way. So we're trying new things here. Project Storm is the DS9 focused set, non-block set. It's designing in a new, different way. So that's going to be interesting to see how that works. Project Londo, which is TOS Klingons, is finishing touches on their first file, and it'll be going to play testers here very soon. And we're putting our design teams together for the movie sets. So I'm excited. We have found a rules manager. I have announced it internally, but it's not been made public yet, so I'm not going to make it public here, but that should be happening this week. And yeah, 1E staffing is in a pretty good place. I think I'm going to have one more open position here soon. That hasn't been formally announced yet, so Forgive me for being coy, but overall, I'm really happy. Period of review. There wasn't a 1E specific period of review, but we had a lot of questions that were tackled in the omnibus. So I'm pretty happy with how that went, and feeling pretty confident going into the vote here next week. So I'm pretty happy with where 1E is. And for Tribbles, real quick, hoping to get one more playtest report, but I'm pretty happy with where the file is. There's some fun cards in there, and that's on track for April. And then we're going to take a long look at maybe I don't want to say fixing Tribbles, but getting Tribbles back to its roots over the next year. So I'm pretty happy with where everything is and what everything is doing. So that's 1E.
Excellent. Thank you, Charlie. I will pile on to the intrigued by TNG Borg. And I actually used to play Borg back in the day. Not well, but I did. And so I'm intrigued by the idea of playing a Borg deck where I don't have to worry about having all the right sub-command icons and the right, all of that stuff to set up my probes. So very intrigued by the TNG Borg.
Yeah, that's good. And like I said, there are some hardcore Borg players that are like, this is not what I wanted. This isn't what you should have done, but they're not the target audience. And there's still room to do more traditional Borg stuff, pulling from TNG source material. We deliberately carved out space for that in the future. So it's not like this is the only way you're ever going to see TNG flavored Borg.
Yeah, I would just echo Maggie's sentiments as well there. Obviously, I having played Borg at Continentals last year. I'm a little disappointed that it's not really in the same vein as what I played there. But I also acknowledge that some of those personnel, even if you don't like the set, fit nicely into Borg decks. I think for one off the top of my head, I think there's a red dot Borg guy with med, and medical's not usually on a red guy. So that's more than likely a personnel I would use. And then obviously locally, I talked to our guys yesterday at our event, and one player in particular who's still kind of a newer / returning player. He's played in maybe a dozen tournaments. He's really excited about it. He does not have any background playing Borg. He didn't play the game when Borg came out, and he wants to try them now with the next gen kind of facelift that they got. So definitely acknowledge that the target audience is a player like him, and he's excited. So yeah, it's a win for 1E design.
Yeah,
1E design, I think.
There's a couple of cards in there, Q in particular, and that equipment that really aren't shabby in the Borg deck. I mean, that equipment is essentially a backup queen Skillshare. That's pretty good, and Q making Borg immune to Cytherians is also pretty good. So there's some stuff in there for traditional Borg players. I understand the disappointment, but we had a target audience for this product, and I think we nailed it. So.
Right.
Oh, okay. So Justin Justin was texting me. He found the link.
Been here a while.
Oh, hey, Justin. All right. So we're doing department reports right now. I got the start on meeting minutes. So I was sent a 2E report. Errata is scheduled for February and March. So the Errata team, under the leadership of Tiak At, has met, and we discussed, this was I think it was last weekend. We met and we talked about a lot of different things. So Tiak is shaping up to be a pretty proactive Errata team manager. We have sent a new version of The Enemy of My Enemy and casualties of the occupation to playtesting. We have another list, so we're going to check to see how those work out, see if they can tame the Cardassian Voltron deck, as I have heard it referred to out in the wild. So there's some minor stuff for February that mostly revolving around promo stuff, as far as I understand it. There will probably be more significant errata in March, depending on the feedback we get from playtesters on some of the cards that we'll be looking at. So there should have been an update to the watch list. I honestly haven't checked it. Work's been really crazy right now, but there should be an update to the watch list. If it hasn't already happened, we should see it up very, very soon. We're as a member of the errata team, and I don't mind being out there, we are working hard to sort of balance out some of the unbalanced types of decks that are out there right now. So Project Lassie, wrapping up pre-production work. That is our 50th set. That's second edition's 50th set. And its theme is boosting 50-point missions. So that's been pretty thoroughly play tested. So we're wrapping that up, and that'll be hopefully heading to production fairly soon. Apparently we need to finalize some costing, and the plan is to get this out after the Neutral Zone comes out for first edition. In other news, Project Redacted has been shown to playtesters for the first time. They have some great feedback, and design is adjusting accordingly. I don't know why he needs to redact that. I believe that it's Project Bruce that he is referring to. That's the first set of Interaction 2020. We also have a set of reprints coming out, 9 cards reprints that will be coming out soon. I don't know when those will be happening, but those are going along with the 8 balanced demo decks that Edge of Hearing and Fritzinger worked a bunch on. So those are hopefully those seem to be ready for prime time with those reprints. That batch also contains Shelley, the Will of the Collective card, bottoms up, as it were. So things are still moving along. We have projects that are in the work. We're in a bit of a holding pattern because of the search for the second edition director. So if you are, I'll post that here. If you're interested in applying to be the director of second edition, please get out your, please put in your application. It is now, applications are now open, and we are accepting them. Questions for Tui, guys? No? Okay.
I don't have any.
All right, so communications, I don't have any report from Daniel. So don't have anything there. Operations. So Brian, you want to tell us what's up with operations? You're muted. All right, Brian's on his phone.
He did say he was drying, so he might not be able to talk right now.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll skip operations. We'll go on to organized play and circle back to ops when Brian's back. In touch with us.
Sure. Organized play. I think everybody knows that the calendar for North America is out already. I believe our first Masters is coming up in like 6 weeks in New York. There's a 2 event, a 1 event, and a triples event happening in Brooklyn, I believe, is where Robin Honeycutt's group is hosting. And I know that Europe has, I want to say, an early April event as well, a Masters in England. So the season's obviously getting started here in the next couple of months. And as far as Europe goes, organized play is still kind of hammering down some details. Last I heard, I think Jules is still looking for a Continentals host. So if you have any interest and you're listening to this, please reach out to Jules and we'll see if we can make something work for that. Other than the big events, obviously leagues are still ongoing. And I think most of the leagues now are just about headed into their playoffs. I know locally we are, and I think Maggie, your group probably is pretty close to that too, right?
Yeah, we have, I think we've got we need one more event for the second half before we can go to playoffs, just because we haven't, we got behind 1 month because we only had one event. And so
Sure.
we've got, and I haven't been able to squeeze out 2 triples events in one of our monthly. So I'm hoping I gotta email my players. I want to see if I have enough folks interested in running first edition and second edition simultaneously at the end of February, and that'll get us
Sure.
caught up.
There you go. Yeah. So like I said, leagues are cranking away, and we're headed into the 2020 high level play area. This month and next month, I'm going to be starting to do any updates to the organized play guide. I know we have just a couple of things to change after the big update that we did last year. So expect that hopefully in early April or end of March, right when regionals start to get fired off. We'll get that article looking for regional applications out hopefully here in early February, and start building that calendar and talking to your local ambassadors about getting those events on the calendar. That's about all I got.
I already got an email from the professor down at College of DuPage who runs the CODCON that we usually do regionals at. Are you guys going to be here this year? You missed last year. We really missed you. Are you going to come? I'm like, yeah, we'll be there.
That's great.
Nice.
Yeah, that's great.
All right. So
CODCON's
Justin,
always fun. I've enjoyed that for years.
yeah, it's a very well run. It's a little con, but it's very well run, and the space is always nice. Yeah, we got lots of good space. The comfortable tables, nice people.
The food's cheap too. I mean, you get like what, giant slice of pizza and a soda for like $5, I think. When I was there last, it's awesome. Great venue.
All right. Well, it looks like Brian's still out. So Justin, why don't you go ahead and give us your CFO report?
Not much going on. I mean, it's the thread with the statement hasn't seen much activity, so I guess people don't really have any questions. I guess that's a good thing. Really haven't had any expenses coming, which kind of is concerning. That not with championship season coming up, and we haven't gotten any of our purchases and our stuff ordered yet. So I'm a little concerned there that I haven't gotten any emails to get things ordered. So hopefully that will change soon, so we don't have a delay like we did last year. But yeah, I don't think there's been any negative comments either on the boards or on social media regarding the statements and everything. So I think people are relatively happy with the controls and everything. So yeah, not much going on. It's a good thing, actually.
Yeah, and again, we're still working with our current printing vendor to figure out how we want to approach the problems where the printing problems that I think we talked about in the last meeting. I don't think we've come to any conclusions on that yet. But I'm hoping that stuff will all get ordered soon. Justin, expect an email from me today about paying for OPA Vote, the voting website for
Oh,
the
yeah.
period of review.
Yeah, so we can set that up today.
All right.
I am here.
Oh, Brian's here. Okay, Brian, go ahead and give us your operations report.
Here was the new principal promos, and it seems like all of those became public. Is there anything missing at this point? Everland's added new achievements for the new 1E set. Sets them up for the rest of this year too, for regionals and continentals and worlds and whatnot. I think that's about it for what happened this month for ops.
Well, that's good.
So
Yeah, I mean, art's just art's doing the art thing, and good to know we've got new achievements. I know there hasn't been any movement on the website or anything like that, which is okay. I know everyone's real busy. All right, let's see. So where are we next? All right, old business. Period of review is ongoing. So we have now completed the portion of the period of review where the folks come on and answer the questions of the membership via YouTube video. So if you haven't gotten a chance to watch the periods of review videos, please check those out. We have them for second edition. We have them for me, the executive officer, and we have them for, the omnibus period of review where all the rest of us came on. So thanks to everybody who made time to sit in and do those things. Let's see. So those are all available to view on YouTube. So the next step is the vote of the membership. So the vote for the membership will become available next Saturday, February 1st. It will be available, I believe I have it set for 1 week. And in that vote, this is your opportunity to say whether each of us board members retains our seats on the board. So you will have the option to say that the question's worded kind of weird because of the way that the bylaws are written. I believe that this was the case last year where you vote whether you want to kick one of us out. So a yes vote is get them out of here. A no vote is everybody stays in. And then there will also be an option to abstain. So people who can vote in this are active volunteers. So if you volunteered in the last year, if you've done something for the continuing committee, or if you pay premium membership. So that's the current wording in the bylaws for who gets a vote. And so that you will receive an email if you are in one of those categories that will have a code with a one-time code for voting in the period of review. So please watch your emails. There will be an article for this coming up this week to remind everybody of how this works exactly. But that's where we are in the period of review right now. All right. So if there's no comments on that, so for a progress report from Charlie on the selection for the new director of second edition.
Sure. Um, so a couple of weeks ago, I posted the outline of the plan. It was largely well received. The biggest note of concern was that there wasn't really any opportunity for the public to participate before the selection was made. So in response to that concern, I did change the plan and add a section for public comment before the vote is made and the recommendation is made to the board. Other than that, the plan as outlined is what we're using. The selection committee was put together. I had a good problem there where I had more people who wanted to be on it than I had spaces. But I was able to find a set of 3 people that checked almost every box in the criteria that I had outlined. So I think the selection committee panel is really balanced. Applications are open. So far, we've had 2 applications and both received enough votes to get interviewed. 1 interview has been done. 1 interview is scheduled for Monday. Applications are open through Friday the 31st. I think it's the 31st. Friday the 31st. After that, we will not be accepting applications anymore. So if you want to apply, do so, and do so sooner than later, because as soon as 3 people vote. So the way it works is if 3 people on the selection committee want to interview you, you get an interview. That was done deliberately so that a minority, if the panel ended up blocking into 3 and 4, the minority could still get a candidate interview. There would be no political majority that could stop an interview from happening. Doesn't seem like that's the case, but that was why that was designed that way. So both candidates that applied got interviews. Like I said, 1 is done, 1 is happening Monday. Once every candidate who is selected for an interview has interviewed, they will be posted on YouTube as part of a playlist for everybody to watch and listen to and comment. That will go about a week before we move to formal voting. So things are going well according to the plan. We're sticking to the plan. It seems to be working nicely. But we'd love to get some more people apply for the position. There seems to be a lot of people who are very passionate about it. So I would encourage them to apply, because the more people who get their names in, the more opinions that the panel can hear, the better. The better the odds go up that we'll find the ideal candidate. So that's where we're at. At our next board meeting, depending on what part of the month it takes place, I'm hopeful we'll be making our recommendation. But if not, then the one after for sure. So I'm just looking forward to, we're keeping things moving. So the sooner you apply, the sooner we can start talking about whether you are going to get an interview and scheduling the interview and moving forward. So if you're waiting to the last minute for whatever reason, I would ask you not to do that and apply today.
What's the deadline, Charlie?
The deadline to apply is Friday the 31st. When I wake up on Saturday, I'm turning off the form. So there might be a little bit of spillover. It's not going to go off right at midnight, but when I wake up on Saturday, it's turning off. So apply on or before Friday the 31st if you want to apply. Don't push it, because there will be no late applications. Period. So.
All right. Thank you again for being willing to run this selection committee. I know it's taken away from stuff you want to do with 1E, so I really appreciate your willingness to serve on this, and also to the other 6 people on the selection committee. And also thank you to those who couldn't join the selection, who wanted to be on, but were not able to join for lack of space, I guess you could say.
Yes, I do thank everybody who applied. There was some grumbling that we should add more voices to the panel, but I really liked the system I designed, and while I can see the argument to have more people in the room, every person you add adds logistical challenges and risks on balancing things.
All right, so then next is, there was a question about what is our policy for second edition mission reprints? So that's, spoiling a bit, that's was the proposed errata that might be, will be coming through in, February.
So
Charlie, if I recall correctly, I'm sorry.
no, yeah, this came up because so several years ago, I think it was when Unnatural Selection came out, we changed the way we name missions. Missions used to be named, with it wasn't the name of the place. It was like what the mission was, study Cometary Cloud or protect the escapees. In Unnatural Selection, they wanted to make another version of SETI Alpha 5 for the con deck, and it didn't work within the rules because you could have two places that were the same place. So we changed it so that all missions going forward would use the same model that headquarters used, which is location name as the title, and then the subtitle was the mission name. Well, as part of that policy, whenever we reprinted a mission, either as a promo or a reprint or whatever, it would get the new name. And Ross and I recently had a disagreement about this, but Ross subsequently withdrew his objection. So this isn't really a non-issue, but this is a non-issue, but I still think we should formally adopt that as our policy so that we know in the future that anytime a mission's getting reprinted, it gets the new name format. So we don't have to keep relitigating this decision. But we can table it for now because the immediate conflict has been resolved, and the two missions that are getting reprinted this year as promos are already getting changed. So,
Okay.
and yes, I believe that is the errata coming out next Monday.
Yeah, because we have we've done a very popular mission, second edition mission for organized play for the World's promo, and I think also something else for organized. I think they're both organized play promos. So, yeah, so they needed the new naming scheme. So I think that's fine. We can table that. So we have a new second edition director. All right, then let's see, what's the next thing? Adding a diversity statement to the bylaws. I swear I thought there was one in there that said, that we would strive to pull a geographically diverse set of people, for running all of this stuff. And there's one section where we do that. It's at the very, very end where there's in the wording of like misconduct, talking about what happens in the case of misconduct, but there's nothing in any of the wording of the bylaws about how we will strive to hire from a geographically diverse pool of people and at all possible. So I'm planning to write in a diversity statement of such as part of the bylaws. So any comments, any objections to doing something or things that I need to consider?
I just wouldn't necessarily limit it to geography. I'd just say, we're dedicated to having a diverse crew of volunteers. So like, when all possible, we'll choose to bring in someone who adds diversity to the panel to a position rather than not. I mean, I don't want to get into politics of it, but yeah, we should. Right. Infinite diversity and infinite combinations is a core tenet of Trek, and we should follow it.
Yeah, and so I'm okay writing something up. I'll bring it to the. I'll put the wording in, figure out where that's going to end up where that's going to end up in the bylaws. I mean, I think that's probably going to be part of the next bullet point, also making team leader searches consistent. So when we, if we put in a policy of how we're going to do team leader searches. So first off, do you all feel we need to have some sort of wording in the bylaws for how we go about searching for team leaders? And we haven't had any, sometimes so going back to second edition, when the creative team manager position became vacant, Ross just appointed someone. But then when the errata team leader became vacant, he ran a search for it. So I'm not trying to throw Ross under the bus under this this way. It was just two examples of how within the same structure we did two different things. So what do you guys feel about doing these kinds of searches?
I like, speaking only for myself, I like the option to do it the way that makes the most sense. I chose to do a public search for the rules manager, largely due to some other factors that were happening at the time. But in general, for a position like that, or errata, or even creative, I would want to try to promote from within more than not. And then follow it up with okay, you need more people, so let's do some sort of recruitment staff. But if there's a particularly keen interest in public, or if there was a situation where the public started to lose confidence, I think it makes sense to do a search. So I understand the desire for consistency, but I think what I would prefer is, here are the ways that you can fill this position, and the person supervising for that gets to pick the one that they like. I don't mind there being restrictions and some procedures, but I don't necessarily want to be shoehorned into having to do a potentially lengthy search and interview process every time a position comes up. Does that make sense? I mean, I want people to be involved, but at the same time, there are some positions that a high level of skill is required, that tapping somebody on the team to promote makes more sense. But that's just my opinion. Ultimately, I'll do whatever the bylaws say. But
I guess I don't have a strong opinion either way. I tend to agree with Charlie in that regard, where you should be allowed to kind of outline the parameters that make the most sense. And if you put that forth into the community and they have a bunch of backlash, obviously you should take that feedback into consideration and maybe make it more open, maybe make it more application based. But ultimately, having worked with Charlie on the rules master selection, we both kind of felt like that. I was surprised it was put out into the community for open bidding instead of someone on the rules team just getting the nod. But ultimately, I think that process made it better, made the search better. We found a couple of people who we didn't otherwise know were interested in the rules committee, and I guess more open and more transparency I would lean in favor of. But ultimately, the department head should have some say in how they want to go about that search, and not have to just, like Charlie said, deal with all the logistics of having tons and tons of other extra layers to get everybody involved, when ultimately they may have the perfect candidate who's just already on the team.
All right, so what I'll put forward, then I'll write up just some wording that basically says we've got a couple of options for how a director can run a search for a manager within their area, and that'll leave us the flexibility, but it also gives some definition to that, to those kinds of situations.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Maggie, you know this. I mean, we have some vacancies that have been vacant for a long time, right? Let's say tomorrow an Australian player says, hey, I want to be the Australian coordinator to me. do I really need to go through a lengthy process to appoint that person when no one has wanted that job for 2 years? I feel like we should just be like, all right, here you go, have fun.
Yeah, no, and that makes sense in that sort of context. All right, so let's see. All right, we've also had some suggestions about changing the voting requirements for next year's period of review. Now that we've had a shakedown year last year, and people are starting to understand the implications of how things work. So as a reminder, in the bylaws, it says if you volunteered for the continuing committee or if you have a premium membership, then you get to vote. So the idea with those is this is a way that we can make sure that the people who are voting have a little skin in the game. So you can't just, it was originally much more open. Basically anybody who's posted or anybody who's registered for the site. And, that's very loosey-goosey and open for, that's really rife for fraud. So, the restrictions were put in originally just to sort of, again, say, all right, if you want to vote, you need to get some skin in the game. Now there's been some discussion of how, how that may not be particularly fair, or people who have objections to giving money to the continuing committee, or hey, let's, buying votes. So, sorry, hang on just a second. I have an Ivy, and I'm the only parent here right now.
That's all right. She better start winning regionals in another 5 years. Makes it worth it.
Oh man, yeah. Oh, she's devious enough. She's got that mind, I think. So yeah, and she's already been like, Mom, what can we do these things together? So it's kind of cool. But yeah, so. All right, so so there's been some suggestions to, if you want to, that maybe there should be a third option in the premium membership area where no volunteer, so changing the bylaws, at least this is how I've understood the suggestion, changing the bylaws so that even volunteers need to pay to be able to vote. And the payment would be like a super premium membership where, if you have the regular premium membership, if you've gotten that because you're a volunteer, and that's been a big thank you, there should be one other option that above that where you can pay for that super premium membership and then you get to vote in the period of review. And that goes for everybody. Everybody has to do that if they want the vote.
Wasn't there also a proposal to add options that didn't require payment? Like wasn't the complaint from Kieran that, I don't want to support the CC financially, but I care, so I should get a way to vote? Like, I feel like there was a proposal that was wider than that.
Yeah, so we another thought was that if you've run a tournament in the last 12 months, that we would give, so or at least opening up the, and this is actually, and I should point out, this is a bit of a misconception. The bylaws specifically say that if you volunteered for the CC. Last year when we did the period of review, it was easiest to gather names and email addresses if we let every volunteer have a 1-month premium membership, and then I could get that information from Chris a little bit easier, which has led to people saying, well, we're buying the votes of all the committee members, anybody who works for us. And I can see that argument, and I can see that worry. So, yeah, I mean, I could see extending that to anybody who has been a TD this year and doing that same, giving them that 1 month premium membership kind of as a thank you for being a TD. Because it was just last year, it was just the people who had worked in one of the volunteer areas within the site, but we didn't give that out also to TD. So I could see giving that to tournament directors as well.
Can I make just a suggestion? Maybe I'm hung up on the issue because it seems very much like we're asking for something to be free when it's currently not. The idea of running a tournament to me is not the same as purchasing a tournament kit. They effectively do the same thing, but if you were to have bought a kit from the CC, whether you ran a tournament or didn't, you at least spent some money at the CC. Does that seem fair?
Well, to be able to buy the kits, you have to run at least one tournament every 6 months to be able to be able to buy a kit.
To be able to buy a kit at all, you have to be able to have already run one?
You have to have run one, I think, within the last 6 months, I think is what it's still set up.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Okay.
true.
So, well, therein lies the rub. Are you really involved in the community if you ran one tournament last year? I think that's a fair question.
No, that is a fair question. So, and I don't have the number. One of the things that I would be interested in knowing is that looking at all the people who ran a tournament last year and saying, all right, how active are these folks? You know, so just not to be like, let those people in, don't let those people in, but like just to get an idea of if these people are participating, participating in the community as well. But then again, we got a lot of people who do run tournaments who choose not to participate in the forums. Like, for instance, Outsider.
Yeah, that's the guy who I was thinking of too. Yeah, I was thinking the same guy, Rick Joachim, I think I say his last name.
Yeah, Joachimson.
Joachim.
At least that's how I read that name. So, Rich, I apologize in advance if I have mispronounced that name. I mean, he runs, regularly runs tournaments. But he's not on the board. So maybe he just likes that aspect of things and doesn't want to come and deal with all the politics here. And that's his choice, whether he wants to participate on the boards or not. But I would certainly want, if he's active enough to be running tournaments, I feel that even if he's not posting every week on the boards, that would still be contributing to the CC.
Oh yeah, I agree entirely. I mean, I've told people who have been struggling with forum stuff in the past to quit the forums, but not the game and not the CC. I mean, you can still play in tournaments and not be active on the forum. And likewise, you have other people who are really active in the forums who don't play in tournaments at all. But I'm struggling with wanting it for free. I mean, at the end of the day, we're still a nonprofit. We're still trying to get income in. I don't want to speak for everybody on the board, but I don't care if you guys want to charge me $5 to put in a vote. That's fine. I have no problem with a volunteer. In addition to all the volunteering they already do, paying something for that. But I do not, as an organization, want to just give away votes for free because, like you said, it leads to ballot stuffing. It leads to all kinds of people who are not really invested in it, don't have any skin in the game, leading the decision. I guess that's how I see it.
Yeah, one thing that does bother me is that this has been characterized, but not heavily, but it has been characterized as a fundraising ploy for us, which it is not. And that we're not, we are not fundraising off of the period of review votes. And there have been a couple of people who have who have interpreted it that way. So I mean, I want to keep it to people with skin in the game. I'm intrigued by.
are we going to change it for this vote? I think no, right? So
No, we're not changing.
we
it.
have time to figure out the answers. You know, we have time to determine, you know, what defines, because there's a legitimate, maybe not legitimate, there is a fear that letting anybody who wants to vote leads to, you know, ballot box stuffing, right? So maybe and I understand the criticism that we're using this to fundraise because we're asking somebody to pay money to vote, you know, and I understand that it's not the reason why we're doing it, but I can understand that interpretation. So maybe the solution is figuring out some combination where if you had this many posts in this period of time and you've participated in this many tournaments at this period of time, you get that, you know, voting membership thing, you know, and then you have the option of paying as well because it's easier. But I think we have time to figure out a way to make this as fair as possible and address the concerns of everyone involved, because, you know, everybody who feels like they're a member of the community should be able to vote, you know, whether they're playing a bunch or they're posting a bunch or they financially contribute, whatever path they take to being a member of the community, they should have the right to vote. You know, we shouldn't be in the business of, you know, gerrymandering or keeping people from voting who have a legitimate claim to voting. It's complicated, is what I'm trying to say, really. We should take our time. We should make it a priority to figure this out well in advance of next year's vote so that we can address all of these concerns and make the changes we need to make so that people know as soon as possible, these are the pathways to getting to participate in the POR next year, the vote, sorry.
All right, so here's what I will do then. I will give myself a deadline of writing up, you know, proposing some new language for who gets to vote in the period of review and putting that to the period of review board. You know, the question of who is a member, and I want to I'll give myself a deadline of wrapping up that wording by the May board meeting. At least bring a proposed, you know, soliciting feedback from the general public, bringing a proposed wording for membership to the board by the May board meeting.
Okay. In the meantime, is it possible, like, I imagine Justin's got some records that would indicate, you know, how much extra money are we making? Charlie's right. If there's this fear or idea that we're using it as a fundraising thing, I feel like we would have the numbers that show it is not. I'd be very surprised if our income went up that much.
Last year was the first vote, and there was a significant increase in 1 month premium memberships being purchased. Okay. And that, you know, those obviously were from the camps that, you know, that we went through last year, with all the drama that we had last year. And so, okay. Yeah,
in terms of dollars, I mean, how much are we talking? That's enough to have your head, you know. I mean, did we raise $200? Did we raise $50? I mean, I don't know what that means.
I mean, it was significant. It was over 100. I know that. Okay. There was was probably at least 20 1 month memberships, at least.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that does seem a little bit substantiated then. Okay.
And it was all those all came in after the announcement of the votes. The announcement of the requirements for the voting, you need to have a month premium membership. People went on and purchased that 1 month premium membership before we sent the emails out.
Yeah, and I haven't seen any significant uptick in premium membership purchases. You know, I've seen a couple more come in for the full year recently, but most of those seem to be from people who were just re-upping their memberships, who have been premium members before, as far as I could tell. I haven't seen anyone assign a premium membership to a certain person who's advertised to sell his vote yet. So that's a thing.
Yeah, that was a big thing last year.
You can't,
so
it's not illegal. It's
I
not
know.
against the rules. So
I know it's not against the rules. It's distasteful though, but that's whatever. All right. Any other comments on that changing the voting requirements for the next period of review?
so there's a couple comments in the YouTube chat I just noticed.
Oh, okay.
Ben Liebtick, sorry if I mispronounced your name. The tournament kit idea won't work. Tournament kits are a gazillion dollars shipping outside the US. It's just easier to buy the premium membership. And that's a very good point. Alan Gould says it's fair to be uncommon for political races to use elections as fundraisers. It's pretty common, so I can see why folks would get the idea. Again, I agree with that. Ben then again says, what about the reward system once it's up? Once you earn X amount of rewards, you get a vote. And that's actually a really good idea.
Yeah.
That requires getting the reward system up, which as I understand it, requires getting the website up. So that may not be something that you can implement in time. I don't know. That's a fantastic idea though, because you can earn rewards playing in events, you can earn rewards volunteering, you can earn rewards other ways. So having a get to this number in a calendar year, you get a vote is an excellent solution.
It is, a threshold somewhere.
Mike Shea then says, regarding voting rights, I think that if a person is spending time and money to run local events with any regularity, that person has skin in the game as far as the CC should be concerned. And I agree with you. I'm in favor
I was not disagreeing with that point. I'm just trying to say, devil's advocate, somebody who maybe plays in one tournament a year or maybe runs one tournament a year. How far involved in the community is that person? I don't know the answer to it. I'm just asking, is that someone that we want to vote or someone that we don't want to vote?
I'm generally in favor of let as many people vote as possible and have a system in place to deal with ballot box stuffing or whatever if it ends up being a problem. We do some auditing or whatever. Trust but verify type of thing,
Sure. Okay.
But yeah, I just think it's a big issue and we need some time to look into it. But I'm generally in favor. Ben, I really like the reward system idea. I think that's fantastic. That might be the piece that we're missing to get to where we want to be. So thank you for that suggestion.
All right. Yeah, Charlie, thank you for checking the YouTube channel. That's I forget to do that. All right. Any other comments? Okay, so next thing on the agenda, who wants to be chair this year?
Don't everybody
not everybody has their video. Not everybody has their video up. So, but as far as pictures I can see, it's Justin because Charlie and I are both touching our nose.
I called not it when I set up this call. I called it's the path. It's literally that. Yeah.
That's your password.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know the significance of this, and I did not know about Nose Goes until I moved to Chicago. So I'm wondering if it's an upper Midwest thing since Chris.
I did that a long time ago.
So if you have a group of people, I had a group of students who did this a lot a couple of years ago. They were working on a project, and whoever is like, go get the coffee or go get this, go get the snacks, go get this or that, and they all go that. I'm like, what are you people doing? They're like, Nose Goes. What do you, so the last person that nose has to go. So to reiterate, the chair's duties are basically to run the board meetings. So you type up the agenda, you put together the agenda for the month, you run the board meetings, you do the doodle poll to get us all scheduled properly. So those are the duties of the chair. So what I will say is, I think this is how we worked it last year. at the end of the February board meeting, I think we voted in a new chair. Seem to recall that.
That sounds right. Yeah, because you have to clear the period of review. You don't want to vote somebody in now who might not be a board member, right?
Right. So, we'll take nominations. We'll take nominations and vote on that at the next period of the next board meeting. Sound good?
Yep.
I would encourage somebody to volunteer rather than be appointed, but it's not going to be me. So I am a hypocrite. I am in full hypocrite mode. That's fine. To be fair, I pretty much had to do that job for like 10 years prior to this, so I'm pretty much not interested in doing it ever again.
Honestly, I thought we had said that we were not going to have Charlie do it for a couple of years. I feel like we had that conversation just for perception out into the community. Was that not true? Or am I misremembering?
That was totally true, because I very much remember a post from James Heaney basically saying, so who's going to be chair every other year when Charlie's chair the rest of the time? And we're like, that's not going to happen.
Right.
We are not pulling a Vladimir Putin and switching between president and prime minister to get around the Russian Constitution, as it were. So yeah, that's not how we're going to operate this system.
Is Brian on the phone? Can we throw him under the bus? I haven't heard him talk in a while.
Yeah, you can. I'll do it. I'll do it.
Brian's voluntold.
There. I threw myself under the bus. I'll do it.
All right, cool. All right. So we'll vote on that. We'll vote on that. All right.
What a guy. I owe him a beer when I'm in Chicago next.
Sounds good. He lives closer to Lillian's folks than I do, so that's even better. That's a bonus. All right. So that's all I've got then on the agenda for this meeting. Any other issues that need to be brought up?
Oh, I don't have any.
All right. So then I will. So who moves to?
I'd move to adjourn.
All right. Chris moves to adjourn.
Okay.
Charlie seconds. All right. All in favor? Aye. All right. Awesome. Thank you all for viewing the January 2020 board meeting.